Thank you so much for staying with us on the program this morning on ITV, on the ITV network. It's still Ameze Bazwai here. Now, we kickstart our conversation this beautiful morning with a focus on exclusive seating for women in politics. We have about 50% of the nation's population being made up by women, yet we have less than 5% of this representation in the legislative seats. What is the way forward? Why are we not seeing a lot of women in politics? Why are we not seeing a lot of women in power? We're going to be looking at that, and of course the calls for exclusive seats in our legislative arena. Joining me on the program this morning to discuss this is Comrade Doris Ogbefun. She's one person whose fight for women's empowerment and of course youth empowerment as well, I don't see going down anytime soon. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It's nice to have you. Let's delve into the issue quickly. Why the fight for exclusive seats in legislating?
I don't see that as a necessity.
Okay.
I don't see it as an ideal approach to addressing underrepresentation of women in Nigeria. I see that as a slippery palliative to the underlying problem, to the underlying issues facing the Nigerian women. And coming up to campaign for a special seat, we practically undermined competence in terms of electing women who has the power and wherewithal to represent. And again, this creation of special seats is funny because, yes, it's very funny, because it's going to promote division, likely, in the political system.
In what sense?
In the sense that, you know, undermining the problem that we have already that limits women from getting there in terms of political participation. And you are coming out again to pursue the idea of having a special seat. It means that they may likely give you a special workplace, a special environment where you will be confined and that your representation may not really add value to what is supposed to be. And having to pursue special seats now exemplifies that some of our women who are championing this does not really have an ideology. Because if you really do have, I do not see any reason for you to drop campaigning for what ought to address the problem that limits women in participation. Political participation is just one of the problems that women face in Nigeria. There are other numerous problems like unequal access to resources, like the social stereotypes, gender norms, and the patriarchy that Nigerian women face. And we have lots more that limits us from gaining such equal access, because politics requires a huge resources. And if we operate in a system where women does not really have access to education, where we have some women are kept in Puda, where we have some women are being told to be the child-bearing machine at home, I wonder how special seats is going to make progress, is going to effect change in the system. I think it will be right for us to continue to address what actually limits us from getting there by going back to the drawing board. I know that creating political special seat for women can only address the underrepresentation, I mean, to improve women participation in politics. But the idea is just slippery. It's just a palliative measure. It cannot stand the test of time, because we cannot leave the underlying factors like the patriarchy we need to address. The system we need to change by making sure that we make laws that can encourage gender parity. You know, those things that makes us look less human, those things that makes women less effective, or makes women not to be represented or not to be part of the decision-making process. This is exactly what we need to tackle, not the special seats, because this special seat will create laxity. It will create, because already in Nigeria we do not have a special workplace for women. We all, the little that we can do, the little they permit us to do in different workplace environments, we all work together. You know, both men and women, we all work together. So if you are clamoring for political special seats, does it really mean that even in your workplace, you should also be given a special work environment to operate? It is not possible. So what we need to be asking for, we need to be consistent in what we are advocating for, not just to move according to the bandwagon. We just, anything where funding goes, we just swift and just follow the pattern. It is not supposed to be so. Let us be realistic. Let us be sincere. Let's be focused on what we are clamoring for. Let us make sure that we come together to change the system. Changing this system means that we must challenge those cultural stereotypes. We must challenge those harmful cultural practices against women. We must challenge the discrimination in the system so that we can be able to improve in having society that can be inclusive for all, so that things can move smoothly, so that when we are addressing this problem, we know that we are addressing it from the root, not from the roof.
Okay, every time I have this conversation as regards women's participation in politics, I always bring to the fore the fact that sometimes when a woman comes out to actually indicate interest in participating in a political forum, there's little or no support from her fellow women. Why this issue? Why is it continuing? Because if I don't have backing of my women who I'm trying to say I'm standing up for, I'm speaking for, how do I get there in the first place? If women cannot support women, who is going to support us?
See, rivalry issues, I see it as an insignificant problem.
Okay.
If you have the competence, if you can deliver, I don't think that their support matters to you. I think what we need to do as a society, as a people, is to make sure that we have or implement internal democracy in political parties, because it is political parties that produces candidates that we vote for. So if we have such parity law that encourages both gender, that checkmates the amount of resources being channeled into campaign, because that is where we have problem. Campaigning for a political seat is capital intensive.
Sure. So
we must turn around to make sure that we tackle that problem. This is the work of the political party. We need to touchlight the activities, what is going on in political parties, so that we can be able to reduce the cost of campaigning, the cost of coming up to win an election. Because, you know, unequal access to resources, unequal access to education and other issues that is underlined or that are facing women in Nigeria makes them not to have that resources and wherewithal to challenge the male counterparts. But if there will be an internal democracy in political parties, we should be able to fish out women who has this competence, who can be able to deliver in what they are, any position that they are aspiring for, without having so much money in their pockets. Political parties can back them up and make them win the elections. But when political parties focus on individuals who are bourgeois, who can be able to bring so much money to do campaigning and certain political leaders, that is where women are being kicked off from the race. But when we encourage a system where even if you are a son or daughter of nobody and you have nothing or much, you don't have much in your bank account, you can be able to contest and win with the support of both male and female. So having such political equal atmosphere or an inclusive equal atmosphere from the grassroots, from the political party, we can be able to address this problem. And again, I am so passionate, I'm so happy that the administration we have today are giving a long-term address to this problem, a long-term solution to this problem, where we can now see that there are loans for women. I think Edo State government launched 1 billion interest-free loan for women to empower women. That is fantastic. That is a way to a fantastic way to address the unequal resources that we are talking about. And you know that
but do you think women would actually channel that loan
resources
into politics?
No, you are not taking the loan to go and contest. Don't get me wrong.
You're taking it to do your business, definitely. But someone who has the mindset to be in business, do you think that person is thinking about politics and how to participate in any way?
Do you know that interests grow with time?
True.
You may not be interested to be part of the system now, but as time goes on, your taste may change. You may begin to develop interest to contest for a position. And if you are not empowered, how are you going to actualize such dream? So you as a woman, if your government is encouraging you by giving you an interest-free loan, it means that they are building you up economically from the roots so that you can stand as a woman and be able to make decisions and take the consequences of your action, take responsibility of your actions. That is exactly a way to go. And another fantastic step or approach they are also taking to encourage women is this issue of nail fund. I don't know if you are aware of the nail fund loan to interest-free loan again to students. This is another avenue where women can leverage on. This is another opportunity women can exploit to build their educational background, to build their level of expertise in preparing themselves for leadership. Leadership is not just what you come in to grab like overnight. Yeah. It is something you have to take step by step, one after the other. So by the time you have the education, if you have interest of going to school, you have interest-free loan. You can go to school even when your parents do not have. You can be able to go to school. Then if you think that you want to learn a skill and you want to become an entrepreneur, you have an interest-free loan for you to leverage on and become whoever you want to become. So this issue of, oh, my parents does not have, or my husband does not want to support me, or my uncle does not want to support me, this is exactly, these are resources where you can channel your energy to enjoy, to be able to still be that same person you want to be. These are long-term plan. These are long-term strategy, approaches to addressing those challenges that limits women or that causes barrier for women not to attain their potentials. So I think that Nigerian women should think inwards and be able to exploit and leverage on these opportunities and be able to become whom they want to become. It's not overnight. For those who are already in power, we always advocate that they mentor the young ones. They should turn around, because another way to build your capacity, to build your potential, and even your network as a politician, is to turn around, to build capacities of those around you. Let them not be singing hallelujah every day around you, and you allow them to remain in perpetual poverty so that they can perpetually be serving you. It is not proper. By the time you begin to build the capacities, empower this set of women around you, they will turn around, also empower others, so it will continue to grow. It will continue to make us to improve. So do not just get this power and shut the door. Open the door and make sure that you build others, empower others to also be like you. So by so doing, we will create an inclusive environment where every woman can become whoever they want to be, even without having anything from their background. Yes.
All right. So some persons are of the opinion that this exclusive seating reserved for women now, when it's open for everyone, anybody and anyone can actually go into power.
I don't think it's true.
Okay, so how do you think they can checkmate that? Because if you're just opening seats for people, you're saying, okay, these are reserved seats. Maybe we have 20 seats. These are for women exclusively.
Why will it be for women exclusively?
Well, that's
it also means that we are creating another inequality indirectly. Yes, people should be able to compete openly with other opposite sex. That makes it more healthy. It is healthier that way. That is the way myself I see it. If I have the competence, if I am capable, I should be able to challenge you as a man and defeat you.
But you do know that that's the morale or the aim of this particular proposal that they're actually looking at.
That is why I'm telling you that that proposal is faulty.
Okay.
It has a foundational fault. So it cannot address the problem. It's just a slippery palliative. Okay. So we cannot achieve anything by creating a special seat for why? Why will you create special seat for women? We want to encourage incompetence. We want to encourage to bring in people who will not know their left and right. I think it is not right for us to be clamoring for special seat for women. I don't know where they got that idea from. Special seat can only address the underlying factor of women, underrepresentation of women. That's all. And that alone, that again, if we look into that sector, it can even breed inequality in the system. So the already existing inequality that we are experiencing in Nigeria is too tough enough for us. So we are asking that all of us should come together to make policies, support laws that can encourage women development, that can encourage the root causes of this underrepresentation. The harmful cultural practices in Nigeria need to stop. We must challenge those cultural stereotypes. We must challenge the patriarchal system using the existing laws. So what we just need to do is have an effective implementation of the already existing laws and policies we have, and again, to make parity law that can encourage both gender who are capable to compete and contest and defeat whoever that is the opponent. That's all. That is where we can encourage inclusiveness, we can encourage gender parity, we can encourage competence, and encourage a healthy environment.
Doris, just before we head out of the studio, now some legislators from the northern region, okay, have fought against gender bills, and of course they've talked about the fact that it may be putting too much power into the women or giving too much power to women. What is your take on that?
That's exactly what I am saying, that we need to address the underlying issues and the harmful cultural practices and cultural stereotypes and gender norms which patriarchy exacerbates is what we really need to address. We really need to address those problems so that violence against women can be reduced to a dearest minimum. And by so doing, we will be able to have a society where women can have equal access, can have this equality irrespective of the religion where they come from. So by the time we jump all these underlying problem that we need to address by making sure coming together to advocate the passage of this parity bill, though they call it affirmative action bill here, but me, I see it that it's better we have a parity law. By the time we push, we come together to push, gather that momentum, we should be consistent with what we are asking for. I am so surprised that my fellow women are deviating from the core issue and now asking for special seats, which will not really do much, or they will not even do nothing in addressing this problem. So please, let us come back. Let us make a U-turn and continue to push, because Rome was not built in a day. There is this saying that goes like that. So it is a continuous problem. We need to be consistent. We need to be focused in what we are asking for. We need not to be distracted by any means. So please, my fellow women, let's come back. We need to address the underlying problem, which we see that the cultural factor is the base of this whole problem. That this cultural factor, we need laws that can address it, that our custodian of culture can see very significant, can see the need to support this law, so that our girl child, so that we women can breathe a fresh air in the society and be able to compete, can be able to represent equally wherever, make decisions from the family unit to the society. This is exactly what we need to continue asking for, not to deviate to special seats.
Thank you so much, Comrade Doris Ogbefun. Indeed, it will be a breath of fresh air if we get to see more women in politics and, of course, more representation of women in our legislative seats.